This custom ordered Porsche Panamera is about to receive our highest end protection package, Dragon Shield Invincible, which is 4 layers of Icon Rock Clear to form a 10 mil protective barrier. When you have to special order a 6-figure Porsche like this, wait for it, and spend $7,500 on just this special green shade of paint alone, you don't want to compromise on protection. What makes our Dragon Shield Invincible package special is that it delivers thickness beyond traditional paint protection film without any visible seams or future yellowing. This makes it the ultimate solution for vehicles where exceptional protection isn't just preferred, it's essential. Today, Jen and I will take you behind the scenes on what exactly happens when we apply our highest tier protection system on a truly special vehicle. You'll see our meticulous process, understand how extra layers offer superior protection, and see the stunning results that explain why this is our flagship service for discerning collectors and enthusiasts. Busy weekend here at the shop. We are knocking out a ton of rock clear jobs like usual, and there is one vehicle in particular that I wanted to highlight today, and it is going to be our client's 2025 Porsche Panamera. It's basically brand new with almost no damage on it. This really nice shade of green. Now, this is a 6-figure Porsche, and the green paint in particular is an extra $7,500 add-on. So of course, naturally, you're gonna wanna protect that. We're gonna be helping our client achieve that by applying 4 layers of Icon Rock Clear. We announced that we wanted some feedback on our new Dragon Shield Ultimate package, which is basically 10 mils of Icon Rock Clear going on the painted surfaces. And we're gonna follow up with the owner in quarterly intervals, so 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, just to see what has the vehicle been subjected to and what does it hold up against? Mostly because we wrote some real world data. So we already have 4 layers on quite a few handful of cars, but we want more daily drivers to find out what exactly can 4 layers handle. Do we need to up it to 5 layers, or do we need to up it to 6 layers to truly say we've already done as much as we possibly can to shield your paint from everyday wear and tear as far as rock chips and debris go. So this won't be a video focused too much on deep diving into the specifics of a particular part of the prep process. We have some other videos on the channel to go over that. We don't want to be too repetitive. I just wanted to highlight the team and I working on the Porsche, getting it prepped, giving you some B-roll shots of the wash prep, the compounding stage to get the paint prepped, and then kind of explaining a little bit more about the multi-layer process because we don't have as much content on the page about the multi-layer process and things that we have to do in between each layer to make sure that each successive layer is good, as well as document this really nice shade of green. Let's see if the camera can focus here. And we get the green, there we go. Lights right on it. Freaking gorgeous. And it's probably not accurate on camera. It's like got a hint of yellow metallic in it. You can see it in person, but I don't really see as much of the yellow on the viewfinder for the camera. We're all done with the wash prep on the Porsche Panamera now, and we are gonna start the rock clear compounding process. We also have in the shop tonight a couple other vehicles that I just wanna point out over here because they are still quite nice, but not as nice as that green Panamera. 2014 Cadillac CT-SV in this really nice shade of metallic gray. All the prep's already been done to it. You can see we taped it off. It is pretty much ready to go. We got the final layer going down on our client's Ferrari California T. We're getting multiple layers of rock clear done on there because of course he wants PPF level protection. Main thing for him was he didn't want to do the whole door handle nonsense with PPF. So with Rock Clear, we could just go around that. No need to disassemble the doors. And this Lexus TX 500H. And the owner just picked it up from SoCal, drove it 500 miles back home to avoid the dealership markups. And yeah, then just dropped it straight off immediately with us. So this thing's basically brand new. We're gonna seal it in. And Lexus is also really, really known for their super nice metallic or pearlescent paint jobs. So when we pull the white out in the sun, it is gonna be looking fantastic. In the other building, we also have two other vehicles. The Toyota Corolla Cross, I believe it is a brand new 2025. This is a Toyota, but I think they stole Lexus's paint color because this white is looking pretty shiny, which is also gonna look stunning when the Rock Clear is on there. And the Quicksilver Tesla Model Y from our amazing client, Isaac, who stopped by after watching our YouTube videos, made a point to mention to me that he always likes to support small channels and he always comments on our videos. I appreciate people like Isaac. Be like Isaac, guys. Very, very nice comments all the time, actually watches the video all the way through, actually engages with us. And he likes the smaller channels, he told me, because you can still actually engage with the creator versus being in a million subscriber audience. You're just like an ant in an anthill. Like you're lost in the sauce. They don't interact with you the same way. So I appreciate our clients like Isaac that actually tell us, yeah, they watch some of our content and then they come in and speak with me on it and they give me feedback and stuff. This is cool. But we're gonna put Rock Clear on his Quicksilver Model Y and make sure that's nice and protected for his daily commutes. Off to the Porsche Panamera prep. See this part and how it's changing white? So this is a really good visual indicator. This section over here, this is done being polished for the most part. This section over here that has not turned more white still has some sort of road film or contamination on there. When I polish past that and clean the surface properly with the compound, it's gonna look like this everywhere. And then when I have not done an area properly, like this, you can see over here too, I still need to polish that some more because the consistency is not the same. So let's go over a section like over here and you'll see it change. See? So that's a huge reason why we need to compound with the Icon Rock Clear compound enough. We're not really paint correcting the surface at all. We're just trying to clean the surface and make sure that there's no contaminants, no road film, nothing left on the surface. So when we apply Rock Clear, it bonds with the bare paint with no interference. Otherwise we get splitting. Okie dokie. All the compounding stage is done. The stage after we finish wiping all of the compound off the car, which is its own involved process. I don't want to bore you with that. Sean, show me the air blower. Give it a shoot. Okay, so compressed air there. Because we pressure washed the car earlier, we don't want any water coming out of the cracks or crevices at any point. So everything here that is a body line, crack or crevice, these badges here, we have to blow that out. So the team spends like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the car, blowing it out. I mean, you could even look right, this is tracking my head, so I gotta bring it closer. All right, let's turn off facial tracking. So right there, that's some water that came out from the Porsche badge. So we really wanna make sure that we get into the cracks and crevices and just take all of that out. Next, we are gonna alcohol wipe the car. So, Sean, you have some, I mean, it's just alcohol in a bottle. We have a white microfiber towel here because the alcohol will actually break down the dyes in the yellow or red microfiber. Like we need to use something that doesn't have any coloring and dye inside of it. So we get it all nice and wet and then we just wipe it on there to break down the polish oils. So the compound has oils inside of it that lubricate the pad as we're going. We need to make sure that we really do a good job to wipe all of that off along the car. Sean, real quick, can we show the audience with your glove over here? So we haven't wiped the hood yet. Try moving your glove. How sticky is it?
Pretty sticky.
Yeah, because it's making that squeaky sound, right?
Yeah.
Let me get my mic closer. Ooh. All right. Okay, so now let's try wiping off this area that we just had that squeaky sound on. Okay, then we'll let it evaporate and air dry a little bit. So there's a little bit of isopropyl alcohol residue left, so we'll take another clean microfiber towel and just wipe that off real fast. I'll go ahead and try wiping. Is it still a little, is it smoother or still got a lot of friction?
Definitely is smoother. Just in some areas, my glove still makes that squeak noise. But
okay, let's try wiping it one more time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, it's gliding smooth now.
Yeah, super
Yeah,
smooth.
like no.
Pretty much no noise. And I'm moving pretty quick too.
Yeah. So the polish oils making contact with the glove are what's causing that noise. And that kind of gives us a good idea of like, hey, the surface is still not clean. By the time we're done wiping off the entire vehicle with alcohol, you should be able to take a gloved hand and roll it along the surface and it should be completely smooth. Main reason why is that later on when we're applying the rock clear, if there was that friction on that rock clear applicator, it is going to drag and cause the rock clear to not lay down as smoothly. If the glove is going along the surface nice and smooth, that means that the rock clear is also going to be going down nice and smooth. So one other thing that can potentially cause issues with the rock clear install is not properly compounding it enough times or not properly alcohol wiping it enough times. What Jen is also working on as well is that we are going to be removing the badge and putting it back on when we're all done, because Porsche in particular, some badges we can leave on the car, but you can see the italics and the font of this is too annoying and pretty much almost impossible to cleanly get the rock clear into the little crevices of the lettering. So it's better that we make a template to line it up with this body line right here, then take it off, reattach it using some specialized badge tape when we're all done with the final layers. That way this panel is just nice and clean. We don't have to work around badges like this. So almost every Porsche badge that we do, we usually end up trying to take off because of the italics, unless the owner specifically requests that we don't take them off, but then we do educate and let them know like, hey, by the way, there's a trade-off to leaving it on the car. If you want a cleaner install on the paint, it's probably gonna have to come off. I'll give you a good example of one that we wouldn't have to take off is right here. I got the Cadillac CTSV. This is simple enough. We have a special applicator tip to get into this V section, and then we can just run that applicator tip along the outside. This is very square. And then the applicator itself can just kind of like go around the outer edge. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, there's a considerable amount of isopropyl on the surface there, but we really want to break down everything. And like usual, the last step after alcoholing is we have to tape off all of the plastic trims. You can see here, headlight. We don't want to get the rock clear on the headlight. It doesn't really bond to that plastic that well. The black plastic down here, we don't want to get it on there. It does not bond to that well. The side reflector, that's all taped off. So a lot of times, it's kind of simple to do all the tape, but it's also extremely tedious. Like when you're lining up the trim over here, it's slow, but that is a necessary step that we have to do, because otherwise, like, let's say I'm applying, the rock clear over here and I don't tape off the glass, then it's gonna make contact with the adjacent panels. In this case, it'd be the rear windshield. And then we have to clean it up afterwards and we're done. And in just the same way that you might have taped off areas or trim around your house when you try and paint a room or something, you know that it's just easier to tape it off first and not cause a mess. And that way when you're all done, you just take all the tape off and there's nothing on anywhere. I mean, the chrome trim over here, the rock clear goes in there, it's gonna cause a strange rainbowing effect and we don't want that. So yeah, we gotta tape everything off. Make sure that we do it proper. So I am going to assist Jen with getting it all on the car here, and then we're pretty much ready to start rock clearing. Get tack cloth it, and that's about it. So we already mixed the rock clear earlier. We've been chilling it inside of the fridge here. Cold temperatures are best for rock clear. So Jen went ahead and got it out now. In the shop, it is also 60 degrees. So that combined with the nice cold rock clear, this is a special trick that we do. We put it inside these little beer coasters. You can see the inside is insulated. All right, inside of there, it's insulated. Keeps it nice and cold, especially while we're holding it in our hand. It's not gonna heat up the rock clear with our body temperature. So that's huge. Keeps the cold in and keeps the warm out. All right, so then this is the last thing that we're gonna use to get ready for our rock clear application. So this is a turbine. So that blows and pushes a lot of air. We don't want to touch the surface with our fingers, of course, it's gonna mess it up. But once we apply the rock clear, it has self-leveling properties, and what will help act as a safety net to make sure it levels faster is using this turbine to blow the surface down just to make sure that it levels down almost immediately. So instead of having to wait for it, it basically just like helps kind of like smooth it out faster. And that's critical for our multi-layer installs because we want it to be as smooth as possible so we can just get to laying the next layer on as soon as it's done curing. But I'm really excited to see how this green turns out when we're all done because it looks freaking fantastic in person. And I know that once we get those layers on there and we pull it out in the sunlight, it is gonna sparkle like crazy. My opinion, totally worth the extra money. Now, showing the process and saying that the layers are going to do their thing is cool and everything, but you might still be wondering, how does this multi-layer thing function? Why does it function the way it does? Like, does it really do what you guys are saying it's going to do? So in order to understand that, we have to show you foundationally how rock clear itself works so you understand how we can then layer it. To start, this is your factory paint on a diagram here. So this is your clear coat layer on top, which is generally about 2 mils thick. Now, when we add 1 layer of rock clear, we're basically doubling that. We're putting on 2.5 mils of material. And for many people, that's enough because you'll get 90% of the benefits of rock clear. When you increase the thickness, the only main thing we're doing is increasing the physical protection. And for some people, that's not a priority, and some people it is. For the Porsche Panamera's price, especially for the almost $10,000 paint job, it seems like a priority for the owner that he likes. So when you stack the layers, you have thicker material, so that way more force will have to be applied to penetrate past that material to damage your base paint. In the case of the Panamera, the base paint is the green paint down there. We don't want that getting damaged. We want rock clear to tank the damage instead. If it's in the layer of rock clear, easily fixable. No respray is involved in that process. The liquid state is in this gallon right there. That gallon by itself will not do anything. If we put that on the car, it will not do anything. We need to mix it with the part B, which is a hardener. This catalyst will start the chemical reaction that changes states of matter from a liquid to a solid. We have a few dried pieces of rock clear here. This is the largest one that I have in this. You can see here how thick that is. That is very thick. I don't think we would ever put it on a car that thick. See, so that one's thinner. We let less material cure and harden at the bottom of a rock clear bottle when we were done with our job. It was just some extra leftover that we had made that we didn't need anymore. So we leave them to cure for demonstration purposes like so. Now, we have to be extremely precise because that could potentially seriously ruin the application if we are off by a little bit. So that's how serious we have to take even something as simple as mixing it. Jen's got the fancy college degree for this, so I'll let her take it away for the explanation.
So I got my degree at UC Davis in chemistry. So with any chemical, of course, as Noah was saying, we want to be precise. So we use a serological pipette. We also want to make sure that it's sterile because, you don't want to contaminate any of the chemicals that we use.
So this is packaged for one-time use?
Yes. So every time I use it, or anyone else that makes rock clear, we dispose of it. We don't want to reuse it. So say if I make one batch and then later in the day I need to make another, I have to use a new one. So just to make sure everything is, clean and not contaminated, we want to make sure that we use a new one every time. So we use the serological pipette to make sure all our measurements are pretty much exact.
So this is 10 mLs. We have denominations down there to mark 1, 2, but we also have the decimals. So if we need, let's say like 3.4, then that can tell us exactly how much we need down to the decimal or the fraction. By the way, if you're a competitor trying to reverse engineer the rock clear formula, that was not the correct number. Joke's on you. We are back the following day and it is time to get these vehicles returned. So we're taking off the masking tape on the Lexus, taking off the masking tape on the Cadillac CTS-V, and we're not going to be taking off the masking tape just yet for the Panamera. We're going to be moving it outside to let it get a little bit of sunlight today before we move it into the building and cure it with our infrared heat lamps. One really cool thing about this car is that whenever you move it, it actually is on, I think it was like dual chamber air suspension from what the owner told me. So we can see that it is going to raise up off the ground as soon as she gets inside and starts it. So you can see that huge gap right there as it raised up. Oh, and then it just went back down. All right, let's see how this looks in the sunlight after a single layer. And then here in the parking lot, we also got a bunch of new vehicles dropped off for the day. So behind me, we have our 2-day-old Porsche Macan Turbo. I believe it's an electric model from our client Patrick. Patrick has brought in his partners, came into us. We already put one layer of rock clear on before in the past. This finally got delivered, and now he wants to get a layer of rock clear put on there as well. Up close for the Panamera, so we're letting that sit outside in the sunlight because the sun is nature's best heat lamp. That is gonna help accelerate the curing on most of the parts of the car, so that way we don't have to spend as much time heat lamping it inside the building later. We've already documented, like when we were testing our multi-layer applications, like does letting it sit outside in the sun help accelerate this drying period? Yes, it does. It saves us a couple hours on average for each layer. So if it's not gonna be inside the building parked under the heat lamps, just really good to leave it outside.
We applied the first layer of rock clear to this Panamera last night, and now it's time to prep for layer 2. This is a crucial step. If we try to apply fresh rock clear onto a layer that isn't fully hardened, the coats can reject each other and ruin the finish. To do that, we use these infrared lamps to rapidly cure the surface. We're making sure the surface is perfectly stable and ready for the next layer. Building up multiple layers isn't as simple as just adding more coats. Once a layer is cured with the heat lamp, that surface becomes super slick and repellent. If we just tried to slap another coat on top, it wouldn't stick properly and you'd get a bad finish. So, for every single layer, we have to run the exact same prep cycle. We're watching it now. We use a light compound to give the new coat something to grab onto, followed by a full alcohol wipe to make sure it's perfectly clean. It's a lot of work, but it's the only way to build up that thickness for serious protection. We're not going to make you watch us do it all over again for the third layer, so we did the prep off screen. Now that all the work is done, we can jump back to Noah as we finish applying layer 3.
Finishing up here at the shop, 3 o'clock for the the third layer on the Porsche Panamera back there. Jen is doing the final touches on it. Tonight in the shop, we were also working on a 2022 Tesla Model 3 resto and a Cadillac CTS 552. So we're finishing up the rear bumper in the back here. With the amount of time, effort it takes to get the multiple layers on, that is pretty much why it's nearly the same price as putting on a first layer. The only thing we have to skip is the washing prep outside, because of course it doesn't have to be washed again, but the heat lamping pretty much takes up that same amount of time, if not longer, until we're able to expand and maybe buy like a ton of heat lamps in the future and then just bake the entire car at once. But money doesn't rain from the sky for me like that yet, so that's not a possibility until we save up for it. But yeah, I mean, pretty much the same amount of time and the same amount of work it took to get these two cars done. The Tesla in the back there, the Model 3, really satisfying transformation. I mean, black cars always clean up really nicely, but the owner, it's new to him. He just bought it, and he wanted to hit the reset button on it. That's probably one of the biggest case scenarios for us here, is that, let's look at the back door there. That's probably one of the biggest case scenarios for us, because when the owner gets it and it's lightly used, they want to like restore the condition to as good as new as possible, and then also protect it. So we do a ton of vehicles that are only a few years old, and then the owner is trying to reset the condition and seal it in for as long as possible. And I would certainly say that we did so. The paint was in pretty bad shape when it first came in, and now it's looking really nicely. Finishing up that layer tonight, we're gonna let it cure overnight, and then we're gonna be back in tomorrow to start heat lamping that third layer, so that way it cures enough for us to polish the top layer off. If we don't polish it off, we'll start rejecting the next layer of rock clear, because you know it's water and dirt repellent, right? So that layer that is repellent is also repellent to the next layer of rock clear in liquid form. So we have to kind of slightly abrade the surface. I want to say it's very hard to tell on camera the multiple layers of rock clear, like the level of gloss and depth that they add to the paint, but in person I can totally see it. It's like looking into a puddle. You got this really nice deep reflection to it, and this was a fantastic paint job. I mean, like I mentioned, it was, according to the owner, an extra $7,500, so it makes perfect sense to add this many layers to really try and protect it as much as possible from physical damage. It's freaking gorgeous. Can't wait to see it when it's done in the showroom. It's gonna look fantastic.
Jen and I are now ready to finish putting down that final layer on the Porsche Panamera. You saw us heat lamp it, polish it, alcohol wipe it, make sure all the tape was nice and clean, replace anything that we had to, and now we just have to hit it with the tack cloth and put on that final layer. So I'll grab some B-roll of us doing that, but you know, it looks the same as the first layer, just more B-roll of us doing the same thing, but at least y'all get to see it. It is really nice here in the showroom, so you're gonna see a lot of that gloss and shine on the car. Plus, when we're done, we'll come back in tomorrow, finish returning it to the client, and show you those showroom glamour shots. That pretty much wraps up the final layer on the car. I'm returning it to the client. A little behind the scenes bonus features while we're driving home. For those of you that care about the people behind the work beyond just the cars. Today is a Tuesday, and normally we're closed on Tuesday, but we had to come in and get the final layers finished up for the car. Just kind of ran into some delays with the heat lamping process. We haven't been able to pick up more heat lamps because most of them come from China, and the tariffs have increased the pricing on them or made them extremely hard to get. So you could only buy like American made ones for $3,000 each, which just makes it ridiculous to buy like $6,000 or $10,000 of heat lamps, right? So we only have the one so far, and it just kind of causes the process to be a lot slower than it has to be. Had to come in for that extra day. On top of the fact that we normally work anywhere from 12 to 18 hour days, but I think this weekend was mostly like pretty late. So, you know, we come in at 11 o'clock, go home at like 2 o'clock would be early. Worst case scenario, some weekends is like 4, 5, 6 a.m. I don't encourage or condone like hustle culture to that degree, but we're just kind of short staffed right now because the business is in a point where we are running a little bit lean intentionally. Before we decide to grow, we had to redo some foundational stuff for the business, like really kind of get our marketing dialed in and our service delivery dialed in before we could expand. So like Jen and I are just taking the kick in the nuts and dealing with it. I think one really important thing about that too is like expectation and perspective, because, you know, like it sucks. Like you're working and you're like, oh, you know, today is normally my day off. So at a minimum, we got to sleep in today and catch up on some sleep. So we're not insanely sleep deprived. Like the worst part is when we have to get 6 hours and then come back to do another, you know, 12-hour shift. It's crazy. You can only do that so many times in a day and you are like killing yourself in the process. But like simultaneously at the same time, I think perspective, a healthy dose of perspective does a lot, because on the other end of things, does working that much suck? Yes. But there are also people out there who don't even have jobs right now. They're getting laid off because of AI, or like businesses are shutting down because of the tariff situation. So like we have a job which pays for a decently nice apartment. We can buy food. We live a relatively simple life, but like things are taken care of. I got a roof over my head. I got my basic necessities. Like we're surviving. And when some people are struggling to do so, you know, like it's not all that bad. On top of the fact that some people do have jobs, but they have to work jobs that they absolutely hate. We get to go in and do a job that we don't hate. We could probably limit the hours that we do for sure, but we do enjoy the work that we do, and we really enjoy the clients that we work with. So I got two blessings there in perspective. On top of that too, if you want to get really high level with it, having to work long hours is not the worst thing that has happened in human history. So I think overall, like, yes, it's ass, but we'll live, and it's not the worst thing in the world. So coming up on the apartment now, where the concrete parking garage is gonna cut us off, but I will catch y'all in the showroom when we're returning the car to the client. Otherwise, for us, that is a night. 30 days later, and the Porsche Panamera is back. When we returned the car to the client, unfortunately, we had some issues with the video files. So they are lost, and we did not get his initial reaction, but we were still gonna include and shoot the follow-up part of this job. So he's back for his inspection wash. 30 days later, let's get a close-up, Jen, and see how dirty the Porsche is here after 30 days of daily driving. So he drives it very consistently. He's got kids, he's a busy guy. He is out and about using the car like it should. Even with how dirty it is, I see there's no rock chips on the front after we applied the coating. And despite the fact that there's a decent amount of dirt on the surface, we're gonna pull it inside the wash bay and rinse this off. Not even gonna hand wash it. We're just gonna rinse it, soap and water, to get it clean before we do our final finishing steps of the process, which is gonna be inspecting all the panels to make sure that each panel had the 4 layers applied correctly and level out correctly. And if there's any high spots, any unevenness that we need to sand away, we'll just go ahead and sand it away for him. Once that's done, we're gonna call it done, and he is just ready to enjoy the car, and that's it. So let's go ahead and pull it inside and get started. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is foam it and then rinse it. And we'll get some close-up detail shots to show you guys, if you do a 5-minute rinse once a month on your daily driver with this much dirt on the car, how much dirt is gonna come off. Because for many of our clients, when we get all that real-world feedback or we do it on our own vehicles, I'll tell you it's gonna be most of it. So that was like 30 seconds of cleaning it. And I think for the average family man that's got 2 kids and he's busy with work and jobs and all that other stuff, he's going to be happy with how that was. It's like 80% clean with 30 seconds of rinsing.
Yeah, especially with the Porsche like brakes and stuff, they usually put out a lot of brake dust.
Yeah.
So actually cleaned up very nicely.
Yeah, and then you can push off your hand washing for maybe like 3 months, 4 months or something. Only do it a couple times a year instead of having to do it every wash cycle. All right, time for the walk around.
Yes.
So Jen, I remember there's a lot of dirt on the hood.
Yes.
Let's go check out how dirty the hood is now after the rinse.
Do a little bit of a test. You can't really see anything on my finger, but I did feel a little bit of debris.
Check another section too, like over here.
Okay. Oh, that was way better.
So barely anything.
Yeah, barely
Right.
anything. So
Okay.
I feel like once we do like the drying towel with the QD, it should probably get it pretty much clean.
Yeah, so you would say that this is so clean at this point that the actual hand wash itself is really not super necessary.
Yeah, I mean, if we really did want to do it, it would just mainly be on the bottom portions of the car because that's where you typically see a lot of the dirt anyways.
Dirty area down here.
Oh, no, that's clean. That feels clean. So,
Barely any dirt on the surface there. I mean, close up, like, I know it's freshly wet, but I'm not really seeing any meaningful amount of dirt buildup. We spent less than 5 minutes cleaning that. If you're busy, you got other stuff to do, just rinse it and move on. You don't even have to do the full hand wash. All right, so now that the rock clear has had a chance to fully harden, that's the most important part. I don't want to start messing with it when it's still soft because that can potentially remove too much material and ruin the finish. We want to wait till it's fully hardened so that we can clean it all up and then truly call it done. So one of the first areas that we're going to tackle first is this front area right here. So see these white streaks? This is what happens when the rock clear applicator comes into contact with masking tape. So you can see down here we have some trim. So I probably had a masking tape right there. My applicator is coming down and it touches a little bit of the exposed adhesive from the masking tape. And then I go back up and then it gets mixed a few times. So that's the most obvious one, but I got another one right there and smaller ones over here as it started to, get out of the solution. And then also we have one up here by the Porsche badge because we had to do this hood like 4 times. And so one of those 4 times, the Porsche badge left a small streak mark that way as well. And we have a small streak coming that way from some of the tape. Normally, we try to avoid that if it caused a permanent problem, but during that checkup, we can easily just polish this away because this is not deep in the layer of rock clear. This is just on the surface. So the moment we hit it with some polish, it's gonna go right away and it'll clean up no issue. Then after checking over sections like that, we're gonna also do like all the other side areas of the car. It looks like there's a small scuff mark right over here too. I'm not sure if this was something from a parking lot or if it's just some dirt, but let's see here. I don't think it's dirt. It feels like it's on the surface. So maybe like a shopping cart or something scuffed it while he was parked somewhere. It's no problem. We're just gonna go ahead and polish it out for him as well. Rock clear still has a little bit of high spotting right here as well. So we're gonna go ahead and 3K wet sand that on this area. The time lapse might make this look like it goes by really quickly, but we actually spend, sometimes depending on the car, hours trying to get everything absolutely perfect for these higher end jobs. When we put 4 layers on the car and we truly call it done, technically we don't have to see the owner for 4 times 15 years per layer. 60 years. The coating is gonna be on here for 60 years. I truly wanna make sure that we can call it like up to our standard. So I am inspecting, like I'm not even sure if the Osmo can pick these up. But when we're doing 4 layers, there's inevitably gonna be some level of small contamination or debris, and these are like tiny, tiny nitpicks. But for the amount that the owner is investing into this car and this paint job, this is part of the process for our 4-layer Dragon Shield Ultimate package. And at any point, this could be like little microscopic pieces of lint, and we're just trying to get these sanded down lightly. So I'm gonna use my 3K sandpaper
This is a small little piece I ripped off because I really don't need that much. I'm gonna wet sand it. So I'm basically just gonna go along the surface with like next to no pressure. And all these tiny little micro imperfections that I see, I'm just gonna loosely sand the area just a little bit. I saw another one on top of the door handle right there. Sometimes it could be like some lint or something from the environment, which is why we're in the process of building out a clean room, because I know I can take care of it when I see it by sanding it, but we could probably skip a lot of time and effort in this step when we start really trying to offer this package at volume if we have that clean room done. Mind you guys, 3000 wet sanding is a process you could do lightly on factory clear coat. So this is a safe process for the original like 2 mil thick clear coat that comes from most vehicles, because we're barely taking anything off the top. I'm not removing a meaningful amount of material from the rock clear layers here. The 4 layers are still pretty much preserved and intact. And this is really just a cosmetic thing that we're perfecting here. So that area is done now. Let me grab my polisher and polish out the sanding marks. Once again, no pressure, just letting the machine do the work for me. I just need to lightly polish the surface. I wipe off the polish so I can check and see, did we take away all the sanding marks? It's like a small amount right there that I'm still gonna hit. That is something that I can truly call crystal clear. And of course, I'm gonna obsess over the small details on the driver door, because you can't operate the car without getting in from this door. So this is an area you're gonna stare out a lot. Maybe we're not gonna spend as much time if the car had a side skirt, you know? Maybe I won't be checking down here. Fair enough. Not a lot of people are gonna be looking down there. You'd be kind of freaky if you did that. But on these upper facing areas, we are absolutely obsessive about how that finish looks, so that way the owner can feel happy and satisfied with the end product. That is a small peek into how tedious and time consuming it is, because this is one section. We're doing this on every panel on the car, all the sections. We go section by section until we check that one off and call it done. So after I finish this, I'm gonna call the driver door done and move on to the next one. And then we just do that over and over and over again until we're all good, return to the client, and we're all set. So the badges are back on, the layers are done, everything's cured, and it looks freaking fantastic. There are all the showroom shots of the Porsche Panamera all set and ready. That concludes our Dragon Shield Ultimate 4-layer package on our client Mike's Porsche Panamera. Once again, my name is Noah, founder and co-owner of Dragon Auto, here with
Jen, co-owner and chief of operations of Dragon.
And if you would like to get in touch and ask us about how we can help restore, protect, or preserve your vehicle, hit the link in the description down below to get in touch, and hopefully we can speak soon. We'll catch you in the next one.